Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Black Real Estate Dialogue podcast. Here with me for the third time, I have Gabby Burks. She is our first Black Real Estate Dialogue resident, which means it's an extended look at new investors' journey. So this is the third installment. It's been great. So Gabby, thank you so much for joining again.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm excited to get into everything we're going to talk about today. I'm excited.
Definitely. So I know in the last, it's been about a month. So I know in the last month, you've been really getting your hands dirty and getting down into the rehab. And I've been following on Instagram and just seeing all of the progress. So I know that takes a whole lot. And so I would just like to know how did you organize yourself? How did you prioritize things just being brand new at doing this?
Yeah, so if you guys haven't followed the first couple episodes we did, basically we bought a property under value and we're rehabbing it. And so I definitely prioritize by using my inspection report. So before you close, you want to get an inspection report, and that kind of outlines like all of the things that are wrong with the house, the things that are fine. In fact, some inspectors, which I really like, put red next to like urgent, and then yellow next to soon, and green next to good. So we used everything that was red. We used the top 5 things, which we'll kind of get into hopefully in this episode. And from those top 5 categories, we wrote out a scope of work and typed it up. I sent it to several contractors and just was asking, what's a general price for this? I sent it to some other real estate investors and kind of got like a good pricing guidelines. And from that scope of work, we began to look for contractors and began to do whatever work we could ourselves. We really started on the rough end too. So getting behind the walls was kind of the very first thing we did. But the inspection report definitely guided how we laid out and organized our process.
Definitely. And was it kind of like a week by week thing? Like, by a certain date, you want to have this done, by a certain date, you want to have something else done? Is that kind of how you organized it?
Exactly. Yep, exactly right. We kind of, we got some really good advice and we kind of got away from it and got back to it. But the advice was stick to one room at a time. And so when you have a house that's maybe 7 or 8 rooms, we're just like, oh, get paint over here and we can put the window in over here. Like just sticking to one room at a time. So to your point, yes, we used weekly guidelines, but we mostly use room guidelines. What do we want done in the living room before we move to a bathroom, right? So we kind of did it, we started that way and then we shifted to room by room guidelines, if you will.
Got it. And how would you describe the rehab process? I know you're close to the finish line. So what was the process like for you? For you two?
Go ahead.
What was the process like for you two, the rehab process?
Yeah, it's been really good. I learned a lot, learned to be organized. You probably can assume that I GC'd the project myself. So I hired and watched and paid each and every contractor. We did a lot of the work ourselves again. It was a lot. I think that, it was satisfying, to be honest. I actually really enjoyed it. I'm trying to find a time where I was frustrated. And I think the only time I got frustrated was an electrician. Upstairs, there's 4 rooms, and I would say he tore down about 40% of my upstairs without asking. So when we got back to the property, we had huge, massive holes. I think we counted 15 holes throughout just 4 rooms. That was probably the only time that things kind of went up a wire, if you will.
Got you.
So it was good. It was gratifying.
Got you. So, I'm sure you've learned a whole lot and experienced a whole lot over the past couple months. So I would love to know about some of your wins, some of your mistakes or lessons along the way, while rehabbing the property and getting it ready to be rented out.
Yeah, I think starting with wins, let's think. Let me start with mistakes because that's the thing that's fresh on my mind. So I wouldn't say hiring anybody is necessarily a mistake because you're kind of learning from it. But when things go wrong, just in general, I'm the type of person that says, where did I fail at communicating? Right. So my background is corporate communications. went to school for that. So I'm always trying to be an effective communicator. So I owned it. I said, you thought it was okay to not fish wire, but to bust down walls. And that's something that I have to own. So definitely something that an opportunity for us was being at the property a lot more in the beginning. So we kind of told this electrician what to do, and then we left for days on end, right? We came back, we found this. We pivoted and started being there every single day, and stopped just kind of trusting whatever we say to kind of manifest, and really guiding it along the way. Definitely one of the biggest, that problem probably cost us, I would say, close to $4,000 building new walls, between materials and labor. So that was a big opportunity. I think our win was probably learning how to do a lot of it ourselves. We had got some quotes on painting 3 rooms for $1,000, and I'm like, that may be a fair price, but I'm pretty sure I can learn how to paint it myself. So I started in 1 room. I watched some YouTube videos on how to get to the edges, got the best products. Went to Home Depot, consulted with the paint department, got the absolute best, didn't go cheap on that, and then did 1 room myself. After it dried, I showed my husband, he said, it's flawless. We went to the next room because our idea was, well, we don't want to go cheap and then it looked cheap, right? And so I said, well, trust me with this 1 room, and if it's bad, we'll hire this lady at $1,000 for 3 rooms. And it turned out amazing, and we saved thousands of dollars. And we just kind of got into a process of trying it ourselves first and consulting with investors and other people, and with every we were trying. So that was definitely a big win, saving money and learning it ourselves.
Is there anything else that you ended up doing by yourself in addition to the paint?
Yeah, we painted. We hung all the drywall ourselves. Man, I feel like we did a lot. We hauled all ourselves. So we hauled the trash can that we got from the alderwoman was so big you can walk into it and still be hit.
Wow.
When we hauled the entire, when they picked it up, it was completely full. So we hauled all of that ourselves. We painted the ceilings ourselves, like spray painted. We rented that from Home Depot ourselves. Yeah, I'm sure I'm missing some things, but yep.
That's dope. That's dope. So, huh?
We sanded the floors ourselves, the wood floors.
Got you.
Like we finished those. Yeah, we did a lot of stuff ourselves. Refurbished the cabinets in the kitchen all myself. Took them down, sanded them, painted them, put them back up all by myself. So yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. I think what I really like about that is, you're there, right? So you have the luxury of being able to be a bit more hands-on. And I like the fact that you kind of had a balance between hiring people to do certain things, but you also take it as an opportunity to learn, right? To learn how to do things, and the power of YouTube, right? Save thousands of dollars, and now you have that skill. So if you do it again for the next properties, you know how to do it, and you'll do it even better. Or if you hire somebody to do it, you'll know what's quality and what's not. So I think it's a win-win in my opinion. I mean, yeah, it takes more time, but I think it'll help you going forward.
I agree. Yep.
Definitely. So another question I have, a big concern people have is contractors, hiring people to do certain things in a rehab. You hear a lot of stories, right? You hear stories about nightmares and having a fire. I think somebody said, hire slow, fire fast.
Yeah.
But you just hear stories like people take the money and go. People don't do a good job, so on and so forth. So for you, how did you find and vet the proper contractors that helped you to get the job done?
Yeah. So one of the very first things I did was join probably 5 or 6 St. Louis Facebook contractor and real estate investing groups. So other people that are doing the exact same thing I'm doing. And I would post in there, I'm looking for a plumber. I would also make Facebook statuses, and I would also text my mentor, somebody else that's in the business that has 7 homes, and I would start there. A lot of times I say start there because you would text somebody, they can't get to you for a week. You would email somebody, they don't respond. And so you're going to put out this net, if you will, look, kind of calling, and whatever comes back to you, you kind of go from there. Recommendations go super, super far. So when you find somebody that's a rock star, is just killing it, one other thing that we did was, and I think it was a big win, we would ask that amazing contractor, who do you recommend for this? And they would have somebody, in their portfolio or in their Rolodex that was really good at this, because good people know good people. And so we've actually never had, we have the electrician, but we haven't had any bad problems. I don't think, out of all the contractors, we've only given a deposit one time. The rest of it was paying them after the job was done. I know that a lot of people ask for 30% down and so forth. Maybe we just got lucky, but
Wow.
we've only paid a deposit once. And so I speak to that because a lot of people run with the deposit or whatever. We do have contracts that we use too when we talk about vetting and so forth, asking people to sign it. The first step that we use is bringing them to the property and walking what we need them to be done. And I'm taking notes on everything they say they can do. From that, I put that in a very simple contract, mud, tape, skim, sand. And then when they're ready to start, 2 or 3 days later, they're ready for them to sign. These are the things you said you could do. So we kind of got good at that process too. Walk the property with them, write down what they said, capture their price, and put it in the contract. But we do get a lot of quotes. So we probably, before we hire somebody, we probably at minimum get about 3 quotes, which may take more time, but we got a price before at $5,000. The very next day, we got a price for the exact same job for $1,800. So it definitely, I was like, $5,000, what?
Oh my goodness.
Definitely helps to get several quotes, bring several people out to the property. And Brandon, my husband, he sets them up back to back. He'll be like, I'll meet one plumber at 11, one at 11:30, and then he'll decide from there. So yeah.
Definitely. What exactly did you have to hire people to do?
Yeah, like all of the contractors that we hired.
Mm-hmm.
We hired a plumber. We hired mud and tape and sand guys. We hired a painter for the outside. We hired a gardener for the front yard. We hired a lot of people for the backyard, because the backyard is my Achilles heel. It's a mess. So that's 5. I'm sure I'm forgetting something. Yeah, those are the 5 I can think of right now.
Big job. And were these people like doing their jobs at the same time, or how did that work for you? Like, did you have them doing it? All right, we have this person for this week or 2, or was it kind of going on simultaneously?
Nothing was simultaneous because
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, we every time we got paid, we would pay somebody, so we could only take like one person at a time. So ideally, we would have a plumber and then a gardener at the same time, but we just didn't have the cash, so we would just like budget for this gardener or budget for this plumber one at a time. Yeah.
For sure. And so for those who, perhaps, well, for those listening, you should listen to the first 2 episodes of Residency to kind of get caught up. But for those who just pop in and listen to this one, can you walk through just really quick the purchase price for the property and also your rehab budget?
Yeah. So we closed at 10.5, so $10,500. No, we closed at 10,000 flat. I think somewhere in there. And our rehab budget was 10,000. So we bought it for 10. We wanted to put no more than 10 in it. I think you asked this, I'm not sure, but trending right now, we're trending about $2,000 to $3,000 over budget.
Got you. And I know like a lot of people say you typically go over budget. What are some things that cause you to go over budget?
For us, we didn't do a good job at pricing material. So material has been definitely our number one. It ate up the most of the budget. I would say probably 80%, maybe 70, maybe. Ate up about a good majority of the budget, because I was like, oh, a wall will be $5, and I'm just kind of like writing. And then I get to Home Depot and I'm like, oh, baby, what? So we didn't do a good job of kind of knowing this. The second house will definitely know, because we're literally at Home Depot 3 times a day. I cannot exaggerate. and make this up. I'm sick of that place. But so yeah, that's the biggest thing, is knowing material costs. Labor actually wasn't. We got extremely fair prices, but materials is quite a bit. And then to also add, of course we're doing everything ourselves, guys, but we don't have a truck. So we had like a Mercedes hatchback that we would put stuff in. And then we got like my sedan. So I'm saying that to say we had to rent a truck every time we have to go get a bunch of stuff. So we were renting truck. I mean, we're buying a truck, but we had like smaller cars, and that costs too, even just getting it back and forth. So
definitely. What I think is so great about this is you really just jumped right in. You know, you jump right in and you figure stuff out as you go. And it's interesting. I say this a lot, but it's like sometimes you just got to get in and do the work. You just got to get in and do the work. Like you may not know everything. You may not know everything. You may know just enough to get started. But if you get started, you'll learn along the way. You'll get better along the way. You know, the first time around, it's not going to be perfect, but those lessons will help you in the future to help you go forward. So I think that's great. You know, in the beginning, you probably even think a truck will be helpful, but hey, who cares? You figured it out. And, you know, right now you're renting a truck and you'll buy one. So for the future, you already have that. So I really think it's great that just overall, y'all really just jumped into it. You jumped into it with what you knew, with what you had, and you just figured the rest out along the way, you know, and I think that's very powerful. You know, some people, they want to have the perfect plan. They want to have every single thing done with no margin for error. And in this industry, that's not realistic. You know, everything is not, I'm sure you've learned, everything is not going to go as planned, and there's nothing wrong with that. It just comes with the territory.
Yep. 100% agreed. And that's made it more enjoyable, because I'm like, okay, I think one of my favorite things about myself in this process is just always reaching out. Like, I'm like, oh, these person are going to get tired of me, but do you know how much, you know? So I'm just like a student. I say it almost in any industry that I've tapped into. I'm a student first, and then I just kind of like look on somebody else's page, right? And just kind of like ask and share. So just being a student is super, super helpful, and being humble and vulnerable. I don't know this, so I'm going to seek it out. It's been super fun.
For sure. How have you been in touch with your mentor quite a lot throughout the process?
The rehab process in the beginning a lot. Towards the end, I mean, we found a second property this week, so I've been calling. We've been missing each other, but I've been calling him a little bit more. But not as much. I had two mentors really close to me in the beginning, and then I just kind of called and texted when I could. In fact, I texted one and was like, "Do you like me anymore?" And he started laughing. I'm like, "Where have you been?" Because he would just drop by and help me take something down and things. He's like, I'm here. I'm sorry. So not as much, but they're definitely still have made themselves available to me.
Definitely. And you mentioned you found another property.
Yeah. Yep. So, man, I'm really excited about this one. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. The Zestimate, which I still use Zulu, or I know people don't Zillow, and I know people don't like it, but I use it. Zillow is quoting at $139,000 for this particular home, and then the last time it sold for $70,000, which was in 2008, I think. We got it for $12,000. So I know, I don't even understand.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Wait. You said the last time it sold 12 years ago was for $70,000, and you got it for $12,000?
Yes.
How? That's amazing. Oh my goodness.
Man, you know what? One of my biggest things that I just want to drive home is telling your story. As you guys know, like, I reached out to Sam, and we do this monthly. I'm constantly posting on social media the process, because I saw a lot of investors who would post before and afters, but I'm like, what happened during? And so I'm just committed to showing you during the process. I think it's priceless. And in that, in me sharing, in me asking for help, one of my homies from college texted. He lives in St. Louis too, and he texted me and said, "I think I got a property for you. It's a steal." At first I'm like, why you don't want it? Because he's an investor too. So, but I'm always hungry. So he said, when can you meet? I said, right now, basically. Got up, went to the property. I was like, are you, I mean, I put it on social. I think you can see it on my Instagram. If not, I'll post it. 3 stories, 4 bedroom, 2 bath. It's just so beautiful, all brick. We don't have a doubt in our mind that we can get it, sell it for $100,000. But basically, we met this person through my friend from college. He's from Florida. He bought this property through a tax auction in 2019, and he just doesn't have the time for it. As he bought this property to kind of learn and do everything himself, because he wanted to have like a test property, he bought more properties in a very affluent neighborhood in St. Louis, $1 million homes and up. And he wants to do that and doesn't have the time. He said, I've been holding on to this since 2019. I love this property, but I'm just gonna let it go. And so he and I met in person, and then I closed yesterday on Zoom.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And it's in a different neighborhood from where you're at now?
It's actually down the street. It's actually about 34 miles up the street. Much better. I love our street they're on now, but I was like, what the heck? Like, this is even a better street. Maybe 3 to 4 miles down the street. Exactly. You just drive straight down. Yep.
Wow. That is so clutch. That is so clutch. And one thing you said that I thought was very powerful was the importance of sharing your story. If you hadn't been sharing your story, you simply would not have gotten this lead, because this particular person wouldn't even know that you are in real estate. So I think that's incredible. Wow, I think that's really incredible. So would the plan be potentially to flip that property?
Yeah, we're gonna go for a flip with this.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow, that's really dope. That's really dope. That's exciting. That's exciting. And that too, I like the fact that you're still looking out for other opportunities, even though you're in the middle of a rehab right now. You know, you never know. You know, you always gotta be ready for opportunities. So I think that's really dope. And I saw your tweet the other day. You mentioned that you raised money from some of your family members.
Yeah. Again, telling my story, which is, and I stress this a lot, guys, because I'm such an introvert. Actually, I know maybe it doesn't seem like it, but I'm a complete introvert. I don't share anything outside of my mom and my husband. But this year, I just kind of came into like a new stride with things, and so I was sharing with family this whole process with the property we're at now, and people have just been like really inspired. I'll get a $500 cash out or $1,000 cash out from family members throughout these last 3 months. And so those same family members, I got on a Zoom or a conference call, and I told them about the $12,000 property. We had all of our numbers there. We really treated them like a private investor meeting. They didn't know what they were kind of working into, but we said, you know, we're trying to raise about 10,000. And we would need it in 30 days. And here are the whys. Here's what your percentage back would be. This is what we would do with the money and everything. We had it all spelled out and organized in an email. And we asked for a commitment like on the call. Said, you know, we'd really like a commitment on the call, because if we can get one, we'll go ahead and close tomorrow with the $12,000 house. And we unmuted the phone, and my sister was like, I'm in. My mom was like, I'm in. My uncle was like, I'm in. So we raised quite a bit in like an hour phone call with just family.
Wow. That's powerful. That's powerful. So telling your story, you got a property way undervalued, and you were able to raise the money to close. I think it's just great, you know, and I can relate to that, just kind of being more reserved and not really, you know, not really wanting to talk about yourself, but it works. It works, you know, it works. I'm a witness to that, you know. I think it's definitely important. I mean, how else will people know if you don't say anything, you know? So I think that's great. Very cool. Very cool. So when you think about your rehab, what would you say has been like a must-have, like something that has been absolutely necessary during the process?
I would say curb appeal for us and HVAC. The house did not have central air. and I wasn't raggedy on the outside, but it just wasn't pretty. So we got a landscaper. That was a must because our neighbors have knocked on our door and said, "Who did your landscaping?" And I say
Wow.
that's a must too because keep in mind we are in the hood, and so we think about raising property value. We think about raising like the culture on our block. We really want it to look pretty so people can start making their homes look pretty and everything. So that was a must for us to kind of get the attention of our neighbors and get them to also elevate. And then HVAC, initially I was going to skip on HVAC because I was like, ooh, it was so expensive. But just reading and researching, I found out that when we do go to refinance, HVAC would increase the value of the home significantly. So we did. Those became our two musts.
Gotcha. And I like that first point. A lot of people just talk down on certain areas, usually areas where we are, but it's a difference between talking and coming in and helping to beautify the community.
Yeah.
Something that may seem as simple as landscaping or making sure the outside looks nice, it could raise the standard for the whole block. And I think that can have a great impact, even with morale. People will feel better about where they live. If everyone follows suit and does their best within their means to beautify the outside of their homes, like you said, it can raise the curb appeal. It can make people feel proud to be from that block. And I think it have a number of impacts. So I'm glad you did that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you think about materials, what would you say? What would you advise someone who's new in rehab to not purchase or to not do as like a shortcut? Because it might be cheaper, let's say.
Yeah. I would say your paint. When you go to Home Depot or wherever you're going to shop, you're going to see a lot of different variations of paint. Um, there's like 3 levels. You want to definitely go with the top because you can put in all of this work and then paint, and then it's like it doesn't give you that pop. So definitely don't go short with paint. Don't go short with paint brushes. You'll see a $1 brush or you'll see a $10 brush. I know that may be simple, but I'm telling you, I literally bought the $1 brushes and I had to go back and repaint every cabinet because I was like, "Ooh,
Wow,
this
I
is."
never thought about that.
I know. I was like, "Oh, it ain't that serious. Let me get the $1 one," and it was horrific. And I had to go back, sand this lasted a month. These cabinets were. I was about to kill myself. So don't go short on like those little things like that. So the paint, the brushes, because that's going to be your finished look. And also bathrooms is coming to mind. We got the best kind of like medicine cabinet with the coolest mirror design, the best shower head that's a square and it kind of changes how it spits out. We got the best recessed lights that you can change the mood of the lights. So those 3 things, personally, I actually tried to go cheap on, and my contractors were like, "Let me tell you, when people walk in a home, think about what they just kept taking me back. Like, you're going to walk in a home, what would you see? Are you going to see this type of lighting? Or are you going to see this type of shower head? What's going to really pop and sell you?" So kind of went back to the drawing board and said, okay. And it's a difference of 10 to 15 bucks. So yeah, definitely. Any of those small hardware pieces, how the sink looks. We got like gooseneck sinks, $10 more than the regular one we see everywhere. Those small pieces are going to really tell a complete and modern story. So I definitely suggest you shop sophisticated for those pieces.
Got it. So basically, don't be cheap with those things.
Yeah, I tried. It wasn't cute.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Like it doesn't even seem like the better stuff is that much more expensive. But naturally, you'd be like, well, let me save a couple of dollars.
Right.
But hey, it's all good. And the best part is like, hey, you learned before you had somebody. You learned before a prospective tenant had to come in and see it. So it's nothing that wasn't fixable for you.
Yep.
Very cool. And what were some of your bigger ticket items? You mentioned a couple of them before, but what were like the big major things you had to do?
Um, the biggest thing so far has been, of course, electric, which was about maybe $2,000. Um, outside of that, like I'm forgetting something. Probably carpeting the downstairs, which was $500. Oh, windows. Oh my God. Windows are about 1,000. We replaced maybe 4. And I was like, why are they so expensive? But windows was about $1,000. So yeah, windows, electric, carpet. And then believe it or not, the fourth would probably be the backyard. We have a poison ivy tree, which I can't even, oh my God. So the whole
Wow.
backyard is like ivy. It's like, it's not grass, it's just like vines. It's
Wow.
work. And so to get in, to kill it, to pull everything up, I think we haven't done it yet, but that quote, we got about 4 different quotes, and the average quote is about $600 for the back, and the backyard is not big. And that's super expensive to me because I thought I was buying a house that somebody could just come and cut. And it
Yeah.
turns out we got big. So yeah,
Got you.
those pieces are expensive.
Got you. Wow. So when they cut all those vines, like how fast do they grow back? Do they take like would you have to get rid of the tree eventually?
They said that they would go in and like kill the tree, like,
Oh, kill the tree. Okay.
and then pull up all the vines so that
Got
nothing.
it.
Yeah,
Got it. That makes sense. That makes sense. It sounds kind of irritating.
that's what it is.
That's good. That's good. Wow. So I think it's just cool. I remember, the first episode you had just purchased and things were really fresh and you were just thinking about what the rehab would be like and a month or two later it's almost at the finish line. And it's crazy. Like I got really excited when I was looking at the pictures. I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this. It's almost at the end. So how does it feel just knowing that, in the midst of everything that's been going on that you've gone through and personally and with this, how does it feel just to know that you're almost done with this first project?
Man, it feels absolutely amazing. I'm super proud of myself. I feel like I've been actually I feel like there's a couple things that I want to do and launch from this that I think it's going to be really beneficial to people that want to get into real estate investing. But from a personal level, I just feel really amazing. And people around me are saying, man, you are really killing it. And that always feels good because I actually feel like I'm killing it. And other times, I'm the type of person that in every job or career I've had, I've never given it my all because I just could never commit to working for somebody else. I always went in late. I always was late on turning in projects. I just didn't care enough. And this is the first time that I really feel like I'm giving it my all, and it's definitely paying off. So it feels great. I'm excited.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Sounds like you're getting closer to your purpose.
That's right. Yep. There you go.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So as we wrap up for this segment, is there anything you want to leave with our listeners? Of course, where to follow you and all those things. But in addition, is there anything you wanna leave? Any last thing you want to say?
Yeah, I think just driving home the point of telling your story. There's a lot of people that I know for a fact that have seen me post on social media consistently for 100 days, and now they're posting that for years they are real estate investors, and I'm like, where does this come from? And they saw me and started to post, and I'm excited to kind of share the space with other people in St. Louis that I didn't know was doing this. They only showed their dogs and their relationships, and now I'm like, oh, you're an agent or you're a realtor. How tell your story, ask questions, and in that just being vulnerable. And the places that you're fearful of, like research. I'm not going to say there's no reason to sit on the sidelines if you want to do something, but there's almost no reasons to sit on the sidelines if you want to do something in 2020 with so much information online. Research any areas that you're fearful of. Be a student. But yeah, so my Instagram handle is, what is it? I think it's Real Estate Gaps. And we can leave it in the notes too.
Yeah.
Twitter is at me next time, Gabs1. And so yeah, I just pretty much that's it. Real estate _ Gabs with a Z, to see like pictures and a process and kind of my ideas and stuff along the way. So yeah, get started. Please get started. And I also offer right now, probably August will be my last month for free, is like free strategy calls. One of the things that I didn't have, when I say I sat on the sidelines, it was probably about a year I wanted to do this. I didn't have a soundboard because I didn't know people who was doing it. So I definitely offer like free 15-minute like strategy calls. This is where I am. Any information I can give, I share, and then I'll follow up with an email. So that link to my free calls is in my Instagram bio and my Twitter bio. So come chat with me. Let's get started.
Definitely. Yeah, and for those, perhaps it's your first time listening to the podcast or to the residency, so definitely I highly encourage you to listen to episode 32 and episode 36. It'll just give you an overview, and just you'll be able to see the progression in Gabby's story. So definitely check those out. Yeah, thank you all so much for listening. I look forward to hearing from you all soon.